I am Elena, and what I am about to expose has been hidden from you on purpose. Like this video, comment now, and share it everywhere, because silence protects darkness. You must watch this until the very end, because stopping early can cost you more than you realize. Have you ever wondered why some acts of kindness bring peace, and others bring unexplained loss? This is dangerous knowledge, prophetic truth, and an awakening moment you were meant to hear. An ex-occult insider is speaking, and what is about to be uncovered will change how you give forever. I need you to understand this first truth, and I need you to understand it clearly. Not every act of giving is spiritually neutral. Some moments of generosity are watched. Some are targeted. Some are strategically positioned by forces you cannot see. When you hand money to a street beggar, you think you are performing a simple act of kindness. You think it begins and ends in the physical world. But from the perspective of the occult, that moment is often a doorway. I am telling you this as someone who stood on the other side. As someone who watched spiritual transactions happen in real time. As someone who knows how certain spirits wait for moments of compassion because compassion lowers discernment. In occult systems, money is never just money. It is agreement, it is energy, it is permission. Many street beggars are genuinely broken people, poor, hungry, forgotten. And helping them with wisdom and prayer is powerful. But here is the hidden truth. Occult networks understand human sympathy. They understand guilt. They understand urgency. And they exploit it. I have seen beggars who were not random. I have seen positions chosen deliberately. Street corners prayed over. Transit points assigned. Specific times of day activated. Why? Because moments of emotional vulnerability are moments of spiritual openness. When you give out of pressure instead of discernment, something else can attach itself to the exchange. Let me take you deeper. In witchcraft and warlock systems, there is a concept called transfer by consent. It does not require ritual words. It does not require candles. It only requires agreement through action. When a person gives money while feeling fear, guilt, shame, or urgency, that emotional state becomes the carrier. You are not just giving currency. You are releasing authority without knowing it. That is why some people experience strange patterns after giving. Sudden financial leaks, unexplainable expenses, cycles of loss, dream disturbances, heaviness that makes no sense, and they never connect it to that moment on the street. Occult watchers do. I remember being trained to observe reactions. Who hesitated, who gave quickly, who avoided eye contact, who looked afraid of saying no. Those reactions mattered because spirits are legalists. They look for permission. And permission often comes wrapped in good intentions. This is where it becomes dangerous. There are beggars who are victims, and there are beggars who are spiritually positioned. Some don't even know they are being used. Others absolutely do. In some cases, the beggar is the altar. The exchange becomes a point of spiritual marking, not because you gave, but because you gave without authority. You were never meant to give from pressure. You were meant to give from alignment. Here is a real pattern I saw repeatedly. A person gives money. Within days, unexpected financial drain begins. Car issues, medical costs, sudden deaths, business slowdown. They pray harder, they give more. And the cycle intensifies. Why? Because the initial exchange opened a door. And without closing it, everything that follows feeds it. I need you to hear this clearly. Generosity without spiritual awareness can be weaponized. That does not mean stop helping people. It means stop helping blindly. In occult teaching, there is a belief that money given in emotional confusion carries fragmented authority. That authority can be harvested. That is why some beggars insist. Why some follow you. Why some speak specific phrases. Why some lock eyes with intensity. Those are not accidents. Eye contact matters in spiritual exchanges. Words matter. Timing matters. I have seen people give money after hearing phrases like, God will curse you if you don't help. If you walk away, something bad will happen. Blessings will leave you. Those phrases are not innocent. They are coercive triggers. Fear-based giving is never clean. When you give because you feel threatened, manipulated, or spiritually intimidated, you are not acting in authority. You are reacting. Reaction is the language of spiritual loss. This is why discernment is protection. There is a reason Scripture says to give cheerfully, not compulsively. There is a reason wisdom is emphasized before charity. The enemy does not hate generosity. He studies it. He repurposes it. Some of you watching this now are realizing patterns. Moments you brushed off. Times you felt drained afterward. Times you wondered why your finances never stabilized despite giving so much. This is not condemnation. This is exposure. You are generous, but you are uninformed, and what is exposed can be reclaimed. In later points, I will show you how to give without losing, how to help without opening doors, how to bless without being drained. But first, this foundation must be clear. Money is spiritual. Giving is warfare. And intention without authority is vulnerability. What you do next with this knowledge will determine whether future generosity becomes protection or a repeated attack point. Now I need to take you further because what you just heard is only the surface layer. What really happens after the money leaves your hand is what most people never see. This is where spiritual accounting begins. In occult systems, every exchange is recorded, not by humans, by unseen observers. When money is given on the street, the physical act ends in seconds, but the spiritual echo can last for months, sometimes years. This is where many believers are confused. They think generosity guarantees protection. They assume giving automatically invites blessing. Blessing follows alignment, not activity. I watched this repeatedly when I was still involved. People would give to beggars, and then unknowingly fund cycles they could not escape. Not because the beggar was rich, but because the act activated a spiritual ledger. Let me explain the ledger clearly. In the occult, there is a belief that money given without covering becomes unassigned energy. Unassigned energy is the most valuable currency in dark systems. Why? Because it can be redirected. When a person gives money without prayer, without authority, without clarity, that money becomes spiritually anonymous. And anonymous offerings are claimed by whoever has legal access. This is why some beggars immediately disappear after receiving money, not just physically. Spiritually, the exchange is complete. The access point is marked. From that moment, watchers observe the giver. They look for cracks, stress, financial anxiety, family pressure. Because once access is opened, influence seeks expansion. This is why some people feel sudden emotional heaviness after giving. They don't understand it. They call it empathy. They call it sadness. But empathy does not drain authority. Unauthorized access does. I remember one case vividly. A businessman gave money daily to the same beggar near his office. He felt proud of his consistency. He felt righteous. Within 3 months, contracts started collapsing. Not all at once, slowly. One delay here, one cancellation there. He blamed the economy. He blamed competition. But occult observers celebrated. Why? Because consistency without discernment creates entitlement. The beggar became a spiritual access point, not by intention, by repetition. Every time money changed hands, influence deepened. This is something most people never consider. Repeated giving to the same uncontrolled source strengthens the channel. In occult practice, repetition is how authority is established. This is why some people feel obligated to give to certain individuals, even when it doesn't make sense, even when they feel resistance. Obligation is not compassion. It is spiritual pressure. Another truth you must hear. Not all beggars operate alone. Some are part of networks. Not criminal networks you see on the news. Spiritual networks. Certain individuals are placed in strategic areas, near churches, near financial centers, near hospitals, near marketplaces. These locations are not random. They are convergence points of emotion, money, and vulnerability. When you give in these spaces without awareness, you are giving in contested territory. This is why some people experience disturbances in prayer after certain acts of giving. Difficulty focusing, sudden doubt, mental noise. Those are not random. Access always seeks to interfere with authority. Let me be very clear here. Helping the poor is not the problem. Helping without spiritual alignment is. There is a difference between generosity led by conviction and generosity driven by discomfort. Dark systems rely on discomfort. They rely on your desire to escape guilt quickly. They rely on your fear of appearing unkind. They rely on public pressure. That is why giving in crowds often carries more risk. Because discernment drops when eyes are watching. Another hidden mechanism is verbal exchange. Some beggars speak blessings. Some speak curses disguised as blessings. Some speak words that sound religious. Words matter. When someone speaks over you, and you do not counter it with authority, you have passively accepted it. This is why some people feel off after being spoken to by a stranger. It is not imagination. Speech seals transactions. In occult training, we were taught that the giver's silence is consent. Silence after a spoken word allows it to stand. This is why you must never underestimate words spoken during an exchange. Some of you remember beggars insisting on praying for you, placing hands on you, refusing to let go. That is not compassion. That is control. True blessing never forces itself. After the exchange, influence attempts to manifest. Financial leaks are common, but so are relational conflicts, unexpected arguments, tension in the home. Because money is tied to stability. And when stability is shaken, everything connected feels it. This is why people say everything started going wrong around the same time. They are right. They just never identified the door. The door was not the giving. The door was the lack of authority. I am not saying stop giving. I am saying stop giving unprotected. In the next point, I will show you how some people unknowingly reverse their blessing by repeating the same mistake, thinking they are fixing the problem. And I will expose why increasing generosity without discernment can deepen loss instead of stopping it. Now listen carefully, because this is where many sincere people unknowingly trap themselves. This is the stage where loss increases. Not because generosity stopped working, but because wisdom was never applied. When people begin to experience unexplained financial strain after giving, their instinct is almost always the same. They give more. They believe generosity will cancel the problem. They believe sacrifice will silence the pressure. They believe God is testing them. But in spiritual warfare, repeating an action that opened a door does not close it. It strengthens it. This is one of the most dangerous misunderstandings I saw from the inside. In occult systems, increased giving without correction is interpreted as submission. Not faith, submission. Submission signals permission. So when a person begins to give more money, more frequently, to the same uncontrolled source after experiencing loss, the system registers it as compliance. The access deepens. This is why some people say, the more I give, the worse it gets. They are not cursed. They are reinforcing an open channel. I watched this happen to believers who loved God deeply. They prayed, they fasted, they cried out, but they never shut the door because no one told them the door existed. There is another layer here that must be exposed. Some beggars are spiritually trained to recognize guilt cycles. They know how to look disappointed. They know how to sigh. They know how to speak disappointment without words. Those reactions trigger something powerful. They triggered the rescuer instinct. The rescuer instinct bypasses discernment. When you give to stop feeling bad instead of to obey conviction, you are not leading the exchange. You are reacting to emotional manipulation. Reaction always places you beneath the moment. This is why authority drains. I need you to understand something important. Not every need you see is yours to solve. That truth alone frees many people. In occult teaching, there is a concept of assignment. Certain individuals are assigned to drain certain personality types. The compassionate, the empathetic, the spiritually sensitive. If you are someone who feels deeply, you are targeted more often, not because you are weak, but because you are open. Open hearts must be guarded with wisdom. Another dangerous pattern is silent vows. People don't realize they make them. I'll always help when I can. I can't say no. I don't want God to see me as selfish. Those internal statements carry weight. Spiritual systems respond to what you believe about yourself. If you believe saying no is sin, you will be pressured until you break. If you believe giving equals protection, you will be tested through giving. This is why some people feel panic when they walk past a beggar without giving. That panic is not conviction. It is conditioning. Conviction is peaceful. Pressure is urgent. Occult structures rely on urgency. They create the illusion that a moment cannot be missed. That if you don't act now, something bad will happen. Fear-based urgency is never divine. Another truth that must be said. Some people are spiritually assigned to receive, not to give in certain seasons. If you are in a rebuilding season, constant outward giving without guidance weakens you. This is not selfishness, it is stewardship. In the occult, stealing authority from someone in transition is a priority. Why? Because transitions lower defenses, job changes, financial recovery, grief, stress. These are moments when discernment must increase, not decrease. Yet these are the moments when people give impulsively. That is not coincidence. I need to speak directly to you now. If you have ever felt resentment after giving, something was wrong in the exchange. True giving leaves peace, even when resources are limited. Resentment is a signal that boundaries were crossed, and boundaries are spiritual protection. Another overlooked truth is this. Some people think prayer after giving fixes everything. It doesn't. Prayer without repentance of unauthorized exchange does not close doors. You cannot pray away access you keep reinforcing. This is why some prayers feel unanswered. The problem is not God's silence. It is unresolved permission. In occult understanding, authority must be reclaimed intentionally, not emotionally, not passively, intentionally. This is why some people feel immediate relief when they stop certain patterns. The pressure lifts, the drain slows, clarity returns. It was never about money. It was about control. The enemy does not want your generosity gone. He wants it unmanaged. Because unmanaged generosity is predictable. And predictable people are easy to target. In the final point, I will show you how to give without losing authority, how to shut doors while remaining compassionate, how to bless without being drained. This is where restoration begins. Now this is where everything shifts. This is where fear is replaced with authority. This is where generosity becomes protected, powerful, and untouchable. I am going to show you what occult systems never want you to learn. You were never meant to stop giving. You were meant to give from dominion. In spiritual warfare, authority always precedes action. When authority is established first, no exchange can be hijacked. This is the difference between loss and blessing. Here is the first truth. You must decide before you give. Not in the moment, not under pressure, not while emotions are high. Decision ahead of time removes manipulation. When you already know your boundaries, urgency loses power. This is why disciplined givers are rarely drained. They are not impulsive. They are intentional. Second truth, every act of giving must be covered. Coverage is not long prayer. It is clear authority. Even a silent declaration matters. Authority does not require volume. It requires clarity. When you give, you must internally establish that nothing follows you home. No attachment, no claim, no influence. This is not superstition. This is alignment. Occult systems respect authority more than kindness. Kindness without authority is accessible. Kindness with authority is untouchable. Third truth, you are allowed to say no. This must be said without apology. Saying no does not make you unkind. It makes you sovereign. Every time you say no when you are not led to give, you reinforce your authority. That authority protects future generosity. People who never say no eventually lose control over yes. An uncontrolled yes is where drains begin. Another key principle, never give to escape discomfort. Discomfort is not a divine signal. Peace is. If you feel rushed, pressured, intimidated, or watched, pause. Pausing breaks manipulation. Dark systems hate pauses because pause invites discernment. Discernment collapses traps. Another layer you must understand. You can bless without money. This truth dismantles guilt. Not every need requires currency. Sometimes words are safer. Sometimes prayer is wiser. Sometimes directing someone to help resources is more effective. Money is not the only form of generosity, but occult systems want you to believe it is. Because money carries authority. When you remove money from a moment, you remove leverage. Another powerful truth. Never allow physical contact during uncontrolled giving. Hands matter. Touch matters. You are not obligated to receive prayers from strangers. You are not obligated to allow touch. Boundaries are not unspiritual. They are protective. True blessing respects consent. Anything that forces access is suspect. Here is something that will shift your thinking. When giving is led by conviction, it does not repeat compulsively. You do not feel chased by the need to give again immediately. Compulsion is not generosity. It is pressure. Pressure always reveals an agenda. Now listen carefully. If you believe you have already opened a door, you are not powerless. Authority can be reclaimed. The moment you recognize unauthorized exchange, clarity begins restoration. You must consciously revoke permission, not emotionally, deliberately. You must recognize that ignorance does not mean ownership. You did not consent knowingly. And consent withdrawn breaks access. This is why awareness is dangerous to dark systems. Exposure weakens influence. Another essential truth: generosity must align with season. There are seasons to sow and seasons to stabilize. Wise givers discern timing. This is why some people flourish even when giving less. They are aligned. Alignment multiplies impact. Unaligned, giving drains it. One more truth most people never hear. God does not require you to fund chaos. He is not impressed by reckless sacrifice. He honors obedience. Obedience includes restraint. Some of you watching now feel relief because deep down you knew something was off. That discomfort you ignored was not selfishness. It was discernment you were never taught to trust. From this point forward, your giving changes. You give without fear. You give without pressure. You give without manipulation. And when you do give, it produces peace, not loss. This is how you help the broken without breaking yourself. This is how generosity becomes warfare in your favor. This is how compassion remains powerful instead of costly. You are not weak, and you were never cursed. You were uninformed, and now you are armed. What you give from this moment forward will no longer drain you. It will protect you. Stand in authority, move in discernment, and let nothing take what was never permitted. Comment now to declare that you choose wisdom over pressure. Share this message because someone you know is losing without understanding why. And remember, watching this until the very end was not accidental. It was an activation. Walk forward with clarity, strength, and unshakable authority.